Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Figured intro for sheep and beef farmers. This webinar is designed for farmers looking at Xero and Figured for the FY23 season ahead, which is just around the corner, not too far away now. What we're seeing at Figured is the sector confidence is at record levels, but undermining this ability, to cash in on opportunities. You're here today to learn what you should be expecting from your financial management software to help you seize those opportunities. Figured and Xero are really here designed to make managing farm finances easier for sheep and beef farmers. My name's Andrew Layton. I look after our corporate farming, accounting and banking partnerships at Figured across the South Island, Gisborne and the Hawke's Bay.
My name's Andy and I'm a partner success manager at Figured, looking after our partnerships in the farming sector.
Today it's our pleasure, absolute pleasure, to have the opportunity to discuss what we're seeing across the sector at Figured and why having the right financial management software is critical for your sheep and beef operation. We'll show you how Figured can work for you, and then also we'll discuss some frequently asked questions that Andy and I get quite a lot of the time, and then we'll show you how you can get started for the season ahead. So we're really looking forward to getting you across that tonight. Housekeeping, of course, nothing better than a bit of housekeeping to start off a webinar. This is a 30-minute session, and we'll send through any questions at any time, and we'll try and answer those at the end. If we do run out of time, what we'll do is we'll follow up with some answers to your questions tomorrow. And note that follow-up will also include a recording of tonight's webinar. So if you've got any mates that missed out on attending tonight, you can send it to them. And also just some information to get started with Xero and Figured. So Figured, we're in a really unique position, and we're so lucky and grateful to have that position, is that we work with fantastic bunch of farmers like yourselves, also working with accounting firms across NZ and also supporting our banking partnerships. We get a really unique perspective across those three different channels to see what's going on in the sector. And obviously, you guys are seeing this firsthand. Commodity prices are as strong as ever, but accessing capital is tough, and also the rising costs of inflationary costs with operating expenses is certainly putting a damper on those strong prices. So there is a real need, and we continue to hear this from our banking and accounting partners, is there's a need for the accurate and real-time data to help make decisions, to be able to seize opportunities. Unfortunately, the impact, if you can't enable that, is that delayed ability to be able to seize and uncover those opportunities while mitigating those risks. And we certainly are aware about those headwinds that are coming at us in the environmental regulatory space. But we're not here to talk about that today. We're here to talk about opportunities to help you grow your business and allow you to be the best farm operation that you can be. So today we'll give you some insight in terms of why we think Xero and Figured is now the leading financial management solution for sheep and beef farmers.
Awesome. I'll now walk you through the software, speaking to how a sheep and beef farmer would use it. So first off, I'll touch on a couple of things on the Xero side first, and then move over to Figured. So when you first come to Xero, you'll land on the dashboard, which we're looking at now. On Xero, you'll have automatic bank transactions importing to Xero each day. So Xero will have a go at coding this for you based on bank rules you can get set up in Xero. And then you'll go through and reconcile those transactions by clicking OK. Xero is the best in-class cash book and works seamlessly with Figured together through an API. With actual transactions being coded off in Xero, like I've just shown you, these transactions are then automatically imported through to Figured to give you that real-time data. So Xero is home of your actuals, whereas Figured is the home of your production, forecasting, and reporting. You can also reconcile from your mobile app or at the end of the week or month to handle transactions in bulk. Just moving over to Figured now. So when you first come to Figured, you'll land on the Figured dashboard. On the dashboard, you'll see a couple of graphs here, which quickly outline how you're tracking against your plan. Figured is the only farm financial management software that gives you a true picture because of a real-time data flow with Xero. So you have that ability to plan and run what-if scenarios based on the most accurate, up-to-date data. So you know where you are and have more confidence planning for the future. Under operations, we have our trackers. On the left-hand nav bar, that's where you're seeing that there. So these are the home of your production. You can set up as many production trackers as you like, and you're not limited to these tracker types here. Under create a new tracker, there are a number of further options available. The livestock trackers all function the same. They just have different stock class names. I'll just head into my sheep tracker now. So as I mentioned, Figured has those set stock classes, and you enable the appropriate stock classes relative to your sheep and beef operation through tracker settings. You can quickly import from Xero with the click of a button. Xero gives you that ability to add quantities and descriptions to those transactions within Xero and import directly into Figured for a streamlined workflow. I've just clicked into that orange triangle there, which is letting you know that there are unreconciled transactions sitting there. Oh, John has raised hand. I'll carry on unless there's a message through the chat. Lates, just let me know. You can click import from Xero down the bottom right here, and that's going to bring those transactions through from Xero into Figured. This is the Xero first workflow. So money hitting or leaving the bank account and being reconciled in Xero first, then importing to Figured. For the farmers that are actively invoicing and creating bills, you do have the flexibility to create and enter kill sheet invoices and stock purchase transactions from within Figured here and post these through to Xero. Just find what works best for yourself and the rest of the team. To get next year's plan in place, a quick way to make a start on this is using the export and import tools within the production trackers. So you can simply export 1 year's actuals and import these in as forecast transactions into the next year's plan. You can then go into the monthly tab and reforecast on a monthly basis, which is a really quick way of adjusting your plan for the year ahead. So simply head into monthly, which I've done here, and click into the tracker. And down below, you can add or reforecast transactions at a monthly level, which will then pull through to the planning grid, which we'll look at shortly. So I've just gone onto the left-hand nav bar and we're in the planning grid now. So down below, we can see some transactions in blue. All these transactions sitting in the planning grid here are pulling through from Xero. You can click on the values in the planning grid, which will take you through to Xero and give you a breakdown of those transactions which make up that monthly total sitting inside the planning grid here. I'm just viewing my 2021 season for actuals. I'm just going to head into a 2022 season for forecast now. Now we're heading into the forecasting side of things. So you can enter directly into the planning grid. And if we expand up down below here, you can also copy, spread, or adjust by percentage of value in the planning grid, or manually enter in a cell, like I mentioned before. With the spreading tool, you can use the distribution curve. So to distribute a new value for this season, proportionate to your actuals or a budget snapshot from last year. You can also set up an automatic interest on overdraft calculator, which will automatically calculate your overdraft payments based off your forecast closing cash position. And once you're happy with your plan, after working with your advisor, you can go ahead and take a thing called a snapshot up the top right here. So snapshots are a snap of your farm's plan at a point in time, and these are uneditable. So these are like your budgets. If you're looking at lending across the next financial year, create that plan and mark it as your annual plan. So one snapshot can be marked as the annual plan, and this can be the budget that you've shared with your banker. And then on the figured report, you can then see how you're tracking with actuals against your snapshot plan. At any time, you can make changes to your live forecast within the planning grid and within those livestock trackers, so your sheep and bee trackers. You can also bring in any of your saved snapshots back into the planning grid and make appropriate changes, so there is flexibility there as well. That's a lot of the planning side, but have you got anything to add there, Lates?
No, I just fantastic, mate. And I think just to reiterate the power of this tool, particularly if you head up to tools there, Andy. You know, for a lot of you guys, first year, there might be some actuals here and part of your conversion over from, you know, Farm Focus or MYB. The cool thing about that is there'll often be a bit of comparative data there in that conversion process. So if you want to use existing data from the previous year, what we can do is import the actuals in through here, and that allows you to create a quick, easy base plan. And then you can use the tools that Andy described there as a way to quickly manipulate the data to make it more realistic for the year ahead. The other cool thing too, just to re-emphasize, is that reforecasting is powerful too. So I've got a mate, he lives in mid-Canterbury, he had 70 Ks worth of fencing ripped out with the floods last year. What he did is he had his original forecast. He's quite highly leveraged, so he had some conditions of the bank to meet with his forecast. As a consequence of that 70 Ks fencing being ripped out, he really had the opportunity to do the reforecasting and have a snapshot there as a comparison against the forecast and the actual. So he had three things that he was tracking in the variance report that Andy will show you quickly. So the neat thing about that is you always have the ability to come back and edit and easily do that very quickly and nicely.
Awesome, thank you. So just heading on to the reports now. So on the left-hand nav bar, we've got the reports tab. So within Figured, we have financial, production, tracker reports, and your accountant can produce your end-of-year trading statements out of Figured for those tax purposes. Figured has three-way forecasting, so you can produce the reports that you need for the banker to more easily access that tough-to-get capital with a strong financial plan in place, built out within Figured. I'll just whip through some of our reports that I've opened up here. So just having a look at the profit and loss. So under each of these reports, we have some additional options where you can view on a monthly, annually, you can change the period, and you're not just restricted to the year. You can go at a custom date range as well. You can also, within Figured, show the quantities. So for the sales and purchases of your stock, you can see those on your profit and loss and cash flow reports as well. Here, I'm viewing my actuals and forecasts up against one of my plans that I had set up in this farm. So now we can see how we're tracking against what our plan was down below. So that snapshot plan we talked about within the planning grid. And our variance report has plenty of options under the additional options tab here. Down below, we can then compare actuals against your plan and also see that variance percentage, along with things like what's remaining to budget within there as well. And our production report. So the production report allows you to assess the productivity of your farm right down to each single income or expense item. So this can be measured on kilograms of production, hectares, and stock units within here as well. We are massive on farming collaboration. So to support that goal, we've implemented the ability to share reports and provide analysis of that report from within Figured. The value here is that all that messaging is all in one place. So with everyone on the same page working across the same set of numbers. Here, we can easily click in, add any commentary, and then share the saved report out from within Figured.
Just something over. I'll say it. Sorry, Andy. I'm sure most of you, like my father-in-law and a couple of my mates that are good solid sheep and beef farmers, one of their major frustrations is around bringing together different reports for banking meetings or management meetings on farm or at governance level advisory meetings. In Figured, we have the ability to be able to create report packs. So the idea is you choose the number three, if you have 3 reports that you need to show on a GST period or quarterly, chuck those reports together, press a button, sync them up and refresh, and then those reports are quickly available. So the idea is we're trying to streamline that process in which it takes you to collect the reports and then pump them out to those different stakeholders across your business, saving you time and effort and just getting the outputs of what you're trying to drive.
Cool. Just heading over into the scenarios tool now. So again, we can see on the left-hand nav bar here, the scenarios tab. So Figured's scenarios tool lets you plan and analyze different outcomes for your farming operation across multiple years. So it's an annual tool. For farmers looking at making capital changes, our scenarios tool is best set up to support you with this. You can build out a 5-year scenario, for example, which we refer to as a status quo scenario. So if nothing changed on farm in the next 5 years, how are you looking financially? You can then easily copy this scenario with the click of a couple buttons. That's when you can start to look at those what if situations. This can be adding an asset such as a new tractor for that next year and simply adding a loan against that asset. Just moving into a scenario I've got set up now. So the proposition tab is where you build out your scenario. So adding in income, expenses, assets, and liabilities. This may be looking at impacts of increasing your herd size, how the increasing fert and fuel costs will affect your bottom line, or even looking into buying that neighboring farm and how things will be looking financially across a 1 to 10 year period. So the whole farming team can view and access these scenarios to make more informed decisions. Scenarios also have reports and indicators down below here. So these are graphs that provide further visibility around various parts of your scenario's financial position. Here we have a summary, profit and loss, cash flow, balance sheet, and livestock summary. So all of these reports can be exported out from the scenarios tool and shared with the rest of the team. Bankers are familiar with this tool, and we've created tools like the scenarios to get that lending application across the line. Our whole goal here at Figured is making that whole production and forecasting functionality as efficient as possible. So let's just recap how you would use Xero and Figured, and we've broken it down into 4 steps here. So we've got set up, build your annual plan, reconcile actuals in Xero, and review, reforecast, repeat. So that step 1 is making the setup easy. And by doing so, that is using your accountant or a setup specialist who are ready to help. So you can find these on our website, or feel free to send a message through the green bubble on any Figured page. Build your annual plan. So save yourself time and build solid annual plans based off production data and Xero financials from the prior year. So collaborate with your advisors to get your input to take your plan to the next level. Reconciling your transactions as they hit your bank account. So that's all handled within Xero, and file your GST straight out of Xero. So we talked about that seamless integration between Xero and Figured, reconciling the transactions in Xero, and they'll automatically be importing into Figured into the background each day. And review, reforecast, repeat. So compare your actuals to your base plan and revise your forecast as needed. So making changes within the planning grid and viewing how you're tracking against your snapshot plans on your reports. take control of your business by knowing and owning your numbers, and that's all available within Xero and Figured.
So just yeah, something that obviously Andy and I and the rest of the team at Figured, we get some common questions, frequently asked questions time and time again, and so we just thought we'd just cover a few of them off, and certainly if you do have any further questions, we can have a look at that at the end of this webinar. The number one thing is we get asked, why is there two software when a lot of other existing solutions one software? Well, Xero and Figured believe in best in breed software. And what that means is that we focus on what we're good at. Okay, so Xero, I know I'm biased in saying this, but Xero, we believe, is the best cash book in the world. Cash coding, transactions, superb and nice and easily and straightforward. And then also doing invoicing and to some extent payroll also. So that whole sort of bookkeeping process, Xero do really well. And then what it does, it integrates with other software as a way to build out and support other business types. So in farming, they team up with us at Figured to add farming production to those actuals from Xero, but also to Andy's point earlier on, build out a forecast and a plan, and also do multi-year strategic planning within that scenario tool. We're also now looking in the data space, helping you with benchmarking data and modeling alongside your accountant to really take your business to the next level. So by doing the focus on each of our separate softwares, we can really speed up the value that we offer you, but also trying to make that whole process end to end really seamless and streamlined. So that's why there's two software solutions. What is the cost? Well, we're pretty comparable to most other solutions in market. So ranging around about that from that $60 mark onwards. The neat thing about Xero and Figured that what we do versus other solutions in market is we have different products for different farming types, okay? And this is where your accountant and a Figured enablement specialist come in their own. They can advise you on the best products across Xero and Figured right for your business. And then they can obviously drop a package from there in terms of what that might cost. So we recommend having a chat to those guys about that. Also having a chat with those guys about how to get set up and train. Let's be open about this. There'll be a time and monetary investment involved in this process. But the most important thing is you want to make sure you get set up properly to ensure that everything's set up from your livestock trackers. You got the data coming completely through really well from Xero. And once you've got that set up properly, then there's an opportunity to learn the key basics, the fundamentals of the software to ensure you get the best from it when you move into the next farming season. So that's a really important phase that we believe that you should invest time and money into, just to make sure you get that right from the outset to ensure that you get the best value from the software moving forward into that next farming season. And what support can I get? Well, we sort of pride ourselves in our support. And you mentioned about this thing called the green bubble. You can find it down the right-hand corner of the Figured website on any page. You can see a little send message button there. Our team typically try and respond under 10 minutes. They've been known to do it within 5, but I don't want to throw them under the bus for that. But they're also a global team, okay? So there's often an opportunity for them to provide 24/7 support when they can. The other neat thing, you can search if you're onto it and you just need a quick question or answered, head into the search for help section there and search out some helpful help articles. I'm sure that your questions be able to be answered within those help articles. And the other thing too is you can lean on your accountant and also your Figured enablement specialist to guide you on your journey and do some refreshing training when needed too. We pride ourselves on our accounting and Figured enablement specialist network. We put them under certification to ensure that they're well qualified to support you with your setup, training needs and education throughout your journey with Figured and Xero. So the question here is, how do I get set up? Well, a strong recommendation to you guys is think about the next season now. And no doubt you're on this call because you're already thinking about it. Get set up and train before next season. Okay, so if you work backwards from June balance date, effectively got 3 months to do that, which we believe is a really good sort of period of time to do that. Rely on those or reach out to either your accountant or a figured enablement specialist who can help you with that process. And we'll provide a bit more details in our follow-up around who those are to certainly support you with those discussions. We also look to subsidise the subscription cost during the setup and training phase for that 3 months at 50% for figured and Xero. There's T's and C's that apply for that, but we can certainly share some details in that follow-up and also provide some details on how to get started and also help with any further information and a recording to help you make a decision about how you move forward. So that's pretty much it from Andy and I. Hopefully you guys had a lot of fun learning a little bit more about Figured and Xero today for your farming operation. We're really excited about supporting you in the future if you come our way. We've got about 4 minutes left. Andy, I think what we might do is open up the FAQ. And as I said before, any questions that we don't get to by the end of 7:30, we'll follow up with some answers to you tomorrow. Do you want to roll into it, mate?
Yeah, let me just check through. Yeah, there was just a couple of questions that had come through. How often does Xero and Figured talk to each other? So Xero and Figured sync a few times per day in the background, but you can also manually sync at any time from within Figured. So if we just click this icon down below here, we can run a manual sync from within Figured to Xero. So we can see it updated 3 hours ago. We can start, and any changes on the Xero side for all of these categories are then going to import into Figured. Rich is already on the platform and seems happy. There was one other question. Do you offer cash flow and feed budgeting of the system? Good question. Yes. So we have a cropping and mixed farming webinar on Thursday at 7 p.m. Correct me if I'm wrong there, Lates. Yes, so feel free to join that to get a rundown on the different cropping trackers and how you can budget there and also the options for tracking feed.
Cool. Hey, there's a good one from Richard. Is it emissions calculator coming? Hey, it's something that we're very, very interested in. We're just thinking about how we might do it. And we're still waiting from Ewok and Noah on their thinking around what's the sort of the framework will look like for the future, post 31st of March. So never say never, but we're just intrigued, like the whole sector is, to see what the outcomes of pricing and calculations come from the discussions over the next few months. Brilliant question there, Richard. And Mickey just asked the question, what's an easy way to find out your EBIT, Andy?
Can we, oh, sorry, just catching up on other, here we go. So you've answered that one. So you've got the reporting options within there. Mickey, let's have a catch, send us a message through the green bubble and I can run you through further options on our reports within Figured.
Cool. And then I think it's Deborah. Mate, there's
thanks
an email that we'll send out tomorrow, mate. There'll be a link to the third session. So we'll send you guys that too. So you'll see me again, sorry. I hope you don't mind, but my colleague Scotty will be on there and we'll give you a bit of a show through of mixed farming and cropping for farming options. Awesome. There she goes. Thanks, Gabriel.
Thanks, Gabriel. I think that's it from the chat.
Yeah, we can certainly follow up and no problem, Deborah. We can certainly follow up with any other further questions, but it's time for Andy's dinner and it's time for me to put the kids to bed. So, hey guys, it's been an absolute pleasure on behalf of Andy and I to take you through this today. We're so passionate about our jobs and we're passionate about you guys joining in on what we're doing at Figured. We've got some amazing stuff lined up in the future and we're here to support the success of the sector moving forward over the next few years to see some pretty amazing opportunities. So thank you for your time. We'll follow up with that email tomorrow and hope to see you guys on the Figured platform shortly. Thank you.